The business of educating young minds and young hands. Today, we speak to Mr. Anthony Ng, Marketing Director of the Malaysian Institute of Technology Academy, and we asked Anthony how the education of technical skills can make you some very accurate profits. I'm Ben Ibrahim, and let's go learn what it's like to be your very own boss, as this is Entrepreneur. So you, kalau you spin this way, the transaction of learning, the calculation of profits. Today, we speak to Mr. Anthony Ng, Marketing Director of MIT Academy, and we're going to find out how the teaching of technical skills can make you some healthy profits. Anthony, thank you very much for being with us on the show. Tell us about the history of MIT Academy.
Okay. MIT actually started in 1976, back in the days whereby it was a furniture manufacturer. So in that time itself, it wasn't called MIT, we were called CBA. My dad actually set up the factory. But soon after that, in 1989, the rattan business wasn't doing very well. Soon after that, 1989, he actually started the training and consultancy. It's like more of a individual speaker doing it, working on his own and so on. In 2003, we actually started training and consultancy business itself when I came back from Singapore to start that business together with my family. We only had one staff, which was me, and because finances was very tight, so what we did is we actually hired part-time SPM school leavers to help us. So that was just a soft skill. And then we had quite a number of partnerships in some technical vocational colleges. Unfortunately, those partnerships didn't really work out, so we were propelled to actually start. So when we started our own, that is where we built the company itself.
Now, the history of the company, when you first started, was the goal to make some very, very good profit, or was the goal to educate young minds?
The goal that always been is always to educate those who have not gotten the opportunity in terms of doing engineering. Because engineering has always been seen as you need to do well in school, you need to be very academically inclined. So that is where my passion was actually to give the opportunity to those not only academically inclined, those who are technically vocationally inclined, that they can see, yes, I still have a pathway to become an engineer, but doing the vocational route to come there as well. At the same time, the most important aspect is if we treat our customers well, we give value to the customers, business will come by itself.
Because at first I've got not much choices because I'm academically restricted. So I got this letter from MIT Academy, and it offers the best for someone like me that is technically inclined. With all the equipment over here, I could do well with the choices that I have.
They are teaching me with a various syllabus and module. They also give a training with a various of machine in mechatronics. So when I study this field, so it's benefit me in future.
Now tell us about your training, technical skills for young students. Is that a bit of a hard sell to students? Because many students want to become the real McCoy engineer. They don't want to become the guy who fixes bolts and salts and nuts. So is that a hard sell?
Yes, it is a very difficult sell in a sense whereby, in general, I myself have been brought up as well in that environment whereby your grandfather what says, you work in a factory, that is where your life ends. And the conventional thought of 3D kind of environment, dirty, dangerous and difficult, is the engineering term that we use. What we find, like for some of our sponsoring companies, our Japanese companies, our German companies, you can even eat off the floor. It's so clean. And also in terms of cleanliness, is one of the major area. In terms of career prospects itself, because I'm a member of also the Malaysian Mold and Die Association and the Electrical Electronic Association, so a lot of those bosses came from the vocational route. They are running 300 to 500 million turnover companies yearly just by having vocational skills. Then they hire the smart ones to do the job.
Do you struggle with enrollment numbers, trying to get enrollment?
In terms of trying to get enrollment, yes, we struggle. First of all, we don't have the very strong branding, and we are fairly new because we're only like 8 years itself. The strong ones, you need to be like 30 years old, so then people would know you. And TVET, Technical Vocational Education and Training, has always been seen as a second choice. But under the new government's move itself, that they're looking towards TVET as the first choice. Because we will be like Australia or other countries, whereby a plumber or electrician can earn more than a
CEO,
yeah,
or a senior manager.
Or a senior manager, I mean.
Right. Because you struggle for numbers, how do you sell and package it to your market?
Basically, our unique selling proposition, we will usually look into an outcome, because we do not want to be like every other college or university which they produce numbers, but they can't find them a good paying job. So in terms of us, we can say 100% we can give them guaranteed job placement, and they also have opportunity even to go abroad, summer semester overseas, or they can even articulate into some other places as well.
How much do you charge per student in the courses?
95% of our students, they can't really afford to pay for the tuition itself. So they usually take a loan from the government, which is under the PTPK, Pembadaran Tabung Pembangunan Kemahiran. Some are sponsored students from industry, some are sponsored students from Pembangunan Sumber Manusia. How we charge is for the mechatronics and the mechanical manufacturing, approximately for diploma program is less than 30,000.
Per course or per year?
Per course.
Now, with that charge rate, how does that translate to bottom line profits?
Last year we did almost net profit, I think approximately about 11.1%. But in education, actually the target is usually about 15 to 20. Unfortunately, in vocational education, because of investment in a lot of machines and equipment, you cannot see that margin because we have a certain numbers. A class size cannot be more than 25.
So profits are quite good, but what is your biggest expense in running this business? You said it was expensive.
One of the biggest expenses is equipment and machine loan financing, because of course we don't have the money to buy all these machines. We don't have much cash reserves as well. Secondly, the other areas that we have to invest is student recruitment, advertising and promotion. That is one of our faults, I think. We are not doing it the right way.
What has been the biggest learning curve for you and your colleagues? You mentioned earlier, your business is new compared to your competitors. So what has been the learning curve?
I think before we even started the TVET institution, the biggest learning curve was actually some of those partnerships that we did that didn't really work out. That actually propelled us to set up our own. And of course, the transition of that itself, it was massive. Transition of running your own school. So you need to be aware of so many things, learning so many things, finding out which machines are okay, which are not okay, and then getting people is very difficult. You need people who are technically and academically inclined.
If you were to do a partnership tomorrow, how would you approach it based on the learnings from those sour partnerships that you faced earlier?
First of all, I will go by a project basis, and I will need to find a partner who is genuine and a partner who is abundant. That means they are maybe a very big company and so on. So to them, this part of a project, it doesn't really ends up with the bottom line of their profit itself.
The first learning curve of the day. If you're going to do a project with a prospective partner, Anthony says, make sure you go step by step. Make sure you start off with piecemeal. We're just going to take a very short commercial break right here on Entrepreneur. But when we come back, we're going to learn more about this great academy. Stick with us right here on Entrepreneur. Don't go away. We'll see you soon. We're talking about the MIT Academy, not the one in America, but the one here in Shah Alam. And we're still talking to Mr. Anthony Ng, the Marketing Director of MIT Academy. Anthony, thanks very much for being with us. Now let's get into the numbers of this business. How much do you need to break even in this business?
We need 200 students to break even. But if we fail to achieve so, then we're in trouble actually. So our plan, if we do not achieve, is we also have other areas as well, other programs to fill up the numbers. We look for more sponsorships.
He will do everything to achieve the goal. His creativity, his imagination, sometimes is way beyond from us. On his way to go forward to the achievement goals, he will bring us together. That's the motivation that we need, is to bring us together. He didn't leave us behind, teach us, encourage us to join and success with them.
His style, his work, and as one of the entrepreneur, I think he's a positive mindset. When he got something new project, he's very eager to focus on that project. He's very concerned about the quality and the result. If you want to MIT, go to prolong, to as long we can produce a quality mechanical student to provide Malaysia or supply to industry world.
Planning and business modeling is the way to go. Correct. Now you said earlier, we're trying different things, especially in the A&P department,
Yes.
but it's just not working. So right now, present day snapshot, are you using any form of business planning or business modeling that you're following?
A business plan that we are following is actually a textbook dummy guideline kind of business plan. What we want to benchmark ourselves and look into the model of because we have a partner, which is the TAFE Australia, their Chisholm Institute in Melbourne. They have run a very, very successful institution, but they are actually government. Nevertheless, they are also very profit driven, whereby they're looking at doing the numbers, and also they're doing at other projects as well. That's one thing that we are trying to emulate, not only having the student as the business, projects as well, which can in time help in the bottom line.
What's your view about investments or investors in your business?
By having investor, it would be good in terms to propel us to greater heights as well.
Financially.
Yeah, financially. But the drawback of the investor, if they do not have the same goal and the passion of this business as well, if it's just profit driven, then it will be very difficult, because education is something you need to be serving the students and the customers, and then profit will come later.
Now you mentioned earlier that you're trying to grow in other countries, get numbers from other countries. What are the challenges there to achieving that goal?
Especially for vocational or TVET education, we call it. Malaysia is actually seen in the ASEAN region as one of the very successful model that we're looking at. But in terms of if you want to go to European countries, I think you can forget about it.
Well, they've got the numbers.
They've got numbers. Here is a booming potential area in the ASEAN countries. We have done projects in Vietnam. We have international students from Philippines that we're getting from India. These are all the market that they would love to come to Malaysia. And they can see, because in terms of job opportunities as well, is also greater. And of course, our exchange rate is much better here as well. So it works both ways.
We need skill is very important, more in theory. Here is a theory is 30% only, more in practical 70%.
MIT Academy provide SKM, Sijil Kemahiran Malaysia, which are by the government and can obtain a CNG, Certificate of Diploma.
I think MIT Academy helps in promoting and attracting more students to learn education industry in mechatronic and tool and die fields. And also in industrial development, MIT also builds more skillful person for the future industry in Malaysia.
Tell us about some of the mistakes that you and your partners have made in running this business. Nobody's perfect.
Wow, we've done quite a lot of mistakes as well.
Everybody does. But these mistakes make us better, they say.
One of the biggest mistakes itself is we actually had a very, very wrong investment in our hostels. We've got the hostel which is not conducive enough.
Keeping up with these changes, does that make your business more expensive?
Yes, it makes it very more expensive as well because the cost of everything rises, and then we don't own these houses. So we have to rent. So it's very expensive in terms of renting, and the rent keeps on increasing. And the problem when rent increases, we can't even charge more to the students, because when we charge more, it becomes not attractive for them to join the program.
What about the other M word, milestones? For every mistake that you make, there's always something good that you do as well. So tell us about the good stuff that you've done, which brought results, but more importantly, which made you a better entrepreneur.
In terms of the milestones, what our mistakes have taught us as well, pretty much that, especially as we fall down a lot of times, like hostel we've done mistakes, A&P we've done mistakes. But after changing all those areas itself, we actually come out a winner, because like the A&P strategy, what we have done is engaging someone to advise us on how to improve, like a PR company, advising us on what we're going to do. We are also improving in terms of the quality of our teaching as well. That's one of the things that we used to lack in as well. We're improving the quality of the teaching, of the syllabus, of all these areas as well.
And final question before we go for a short commercial break. What has all these milestones and mistakes taught you in terms of planning for the future?
In terms of planning for the future, of course, we do not want to repeat the mistakes. In terms of milestones, we have a lot of great plans ahead of us. We're looking at MIT itself one day, 2015. We're going to have our own campus in Shah Alam in Selangor, and also in 2017, we have a campus in Perak as well. So a lot of deals are actually on the way, in the midst of negotiation and so on.
Well, learning tip number 2. Anthony says, if you're trying new things and it's not working, go back to the drawing board. Go back to basics and find out why it's not working. We're just going to take another short commercial break right here on Entrepreneur, but when we come back, we're going to learn how MIT plans to grow their business. Stick with us right here on Entrepreneur. The Malaysian Institute of Technology Academy, educating young minds and young hands on technical knowledge and technical know-how. Anthony, what are your plans to grow this business?
My plans to grow the business is actually look into getting more government-sponsored students, which currently we have already. We're getting more of that. Also, to get more students to take up the PTPK loan. And if we can, that is one of the major obstacles of getting in, is to get pharma sponsorship, father and mother sponsorship. Because
Dedikasi, yeah.
that is always the challenge, because we don't have that group of students there. So by vocational education, that's the area. And also we're looking at plans to grow the business in 2013. We're looking to start off in next year our first oil and gas training center in Malaysia. Then we have 2015 for our campus here, and 2017 on the other side.
Tell us about the challenges in terms of achieving this growth plan.
The major challenges is financing.
Ching, 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 yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the major finances that we are planning itself with our budgeting and so on. We are also committing ourselves heavily. We're going to go to the SME bank as well. We'll talk to them on a huge loan financing. It's actually a big risk. We thought that if we send out the A&P exercise for oil and gas, a lot of students will be interested to join because the wages are huge.
That's why they call it black gold.
Yeah. Also the challenges in terms of getting the right skills of the teachers or the instructors, we call them, the technical instructors, is very difficult. That's one of the most key challenges as well.
Now, away from investments, what about the other tough word, regulations? Tell us about the regulation side of the education business, or the training business.
The training business itself, the education in terms of vocational education is highly regulated.
Extremely, yeah.
Extremely, compared to normal college, whereby the teacher does their own exams, The assessment, everything is done by the teacher itself and by the college, and you will get the certificate by the college. In vocational education, we have what we call the Ministry of Human Resource, the Department of Skills Development, or JPK, Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran. They regulate everything. Before we even get the license, we need to have like 7 licenses before we get this license, like your town council, your health ministry, all these types. And not only that, before even doing that, you have to make sure to follow a National Occupational Skills Standards, which is a NOS. So the syllabus and everything is guided. You have to follow a certain strict rules, and those are developed also by industry. And then you have a guideline of all the machines and equipment you need to invest. Before even starting, our exams is not like we can do it ourselves. Our exams is regulated. We have external invigilators by the government. So it's like coming back to school SPM again.
Now, when the government hands out an education or training license, they don't just hand it out just like that. You know, they always look at the due diligence. Okay, you met this criteria, we'll renew it. So when they renew the license, what do they look for? What kind of quality checks do they look for? Everybody says quality, quality, quality. But what is quality?
One of the major areas, they look at the trainers, the teachers or the technical instructors. They look at that. That is critical because they look at the teachers, whether your teachers are qualified and having the license certificate. Plus, they also look at your student-teacher ratio. 1 student, you have maximum 25. Plus, your equipment must be up to date.
Safety.
Safety is one of the huge, huge regulation.
And Anthony, final question. What's your advice for all aspiring entrepreneurs out there who do want to become their very own boss? Training industry, non-training industry.
I think first of all, they need to look into what is their own characteristics, to understand themselves, which quadrant that I'm in, business owner quadrant, an entrepreneur, or I'm good at many quadrants. Like Bill Gates, he's an inventor. Like Donald Trump, he's a deal maker. So knowing a quadrant, like for me, I knew my quadrant to be a deal maker. By doing that, knowing my quadrant, and then I move towards how I can make this talent to actually build a business and make more deals and make more businesses as well. Finally, you have to put yourself out there. You must be always on the ground, because a lot of the times an entrepreneur who's not been to the mill or been on the ground will fail.
Well, Anthony has left us with some very, very good points, but we're just going to leave you with one. Before you go into business, make sure you know what part of the quadrant you are from. Are you a strategist? Are you a deal maker? Or are you that investor and businessman? It's been a wonderful interview right here on Entrepreneur. Don't forget, right here on Entrepreneur, we grow with you and we learn with you. And in the spirit of learning, please give us some feedback on our Facebook website. Other than that, folks, take it easy. This is Entrepreneur, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks, man. Okay, Anthony, quick quiz just to get to know you a little bit better.
Yes.
First question, favorite food?
Many types of favorite food, but
It's like one. Quick. Indian
food, yeah.
Okay.
Because I grew up with an Indian family.
Okay.
Yeah, for 10 years.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
very interesting. Second question, favorite book?
Many books are.
It's like one. Quick. Tick, time.
Brian Tracy, 7 Steps to Selling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The best-selling tip in that book?
The best-selling thing is a doorknob close.
The doorknob closed. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll ask you about that a little bit later. Favorite sports car?
Lamborghini Gallardo.
Right. Okay, nice one. Do you have one?
No, I have, unfortunately.
Okay. Favorite overseas holiday spot?
I think the best place me and my wife so far we really enjoy is Italy.
Right.
And Venice is one of the most romantic for her, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if a young child came up to you, final question.
Yeah.
If a young child came up to you and say, I don't know how to do this, teach me how would you answer them?
Okay, I will say, I'll be willing to teach you if you're willing to learn.
Okay, very nicely said. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.